and the law, holding government officials accountable for violating their constitutional oaths of office, and empowering everyday people to make a difference. She's spoken on the Constitution at hundreds of events, hosts a website full of freedom fighting resources and educational videos, launched a weekly Constitution podcast and newsletter, which I've seen a few times, and created a Constitution app for, oh, I didn't know that, Apple and Android. Interesting. And we'll talk about that. Make sure I don't forget that. I want to ask you about that a little bit. From drafting a state constitutional amendment to arguing in the Michigan Supreme Court against lockdown orders, Katherine has been fighting to restore our freedom since day one. Her motto, more freedom, less government. Now, Katherine has 16.3K subscribers. She has an impressive 610 videos. She has looks like 653,000 views. That's we got to get that up too for her. With all those videos. Maybe they're short ones. She joined.
Sorry, that was a funny joke.
She joined May 11th of 2020 with this particular account. So. And with that, I like to welcome you in.
Here's the sad thing on YouTube. I didn't go live until October 2nd, 2020. That's when I did my first live on there. I was mostly just kind of posting stuff afterwards after having gone live on Facebook. And Facebook was throttling us on the video, talking about what the Michigan Supreme Court had done that day in the case that I had argued in the Supreme Court against the governor's executive orders. And anyway, so we decided we'd jump on over. We didn't have enough. We didn't have 1,000 subscribers that night, but we got up to 1,000. Just, enough people came over, so we were able to go live on YouTube. Mm-hmm. And then within 3 weeks, we jumped up to 10,000 subscribers. And then for 2 years, they kept me locked at 10,000. Like that's not statistically likely. So anyway, the channel probably would be 500,000 by now if it was allowed to organically grow. But it's not. So, it's definitely going to take some time and some effort and help from people out there. And so if you're watching now and you love freedom, if you haven't already hit the like and subscribe button to my YouTube channel or my Facebook page, please do so. And we're actually double streaming to there now. It gave me a little bit of a hiccup, hence the long delay where I was staring at the screen and not talking. But StreamYard finally played nice with my logins. And I think we might be live on both my Facebook page and our main YouTube channel. And I did want to say a shout out to my friend Bill, who I've known since we worked with the American Patriot Rally in 2020 and 2021. There's probably, I know there's videos of me speaking at several events that were put on by the American Patriot Rally. So my friend Bill Hewer, I saw, was in the comments there and saying hi. So in fact, the very first speech I did in public regarding any of this freedom stuff was April 30th, 2020 on the steps of the Michigan Capitol. I think my husband has a Where It All Started playlist on there, but that's the speech right there. Yeah,
I am a good producer, Miss Katherine. I will take care of you.
So what do you suggest?
No, that's afterwards. That's the impromptu stuff. When after my speech was done on the steps of the Capitol, we were trying to get into the session of legislature, and that's the doors to the House of Representatives right behind me. And you had the red coats. You could kind of see one of them right there. He's there's a whole bunch of them, and they were stopping us from getting in. And then you have the state police who were
literally red coats.
Yeah, literally red coats. Yeah. So they were all stopping us from getting in. And the funny thing is, in the Michigan Constitution, Article 4, I want to say Section 26, guarantees that might be 22, but anyway, Article 4 of the Michigan State Constitution, the doors of the legislature have to remain open unless it's for the public.
You know what, Lard is?
So it wasn't for the public safety that they kept the door shut that day. But anyway, there is, if you did want to see any of the video, nope, that's not it either. Because I spoke at 200 events across the state, 200 or 300 events across the state in 2020. But if you go to the playlist,
Yeah,
tab.
when I go to the oldest, this one right here is the oldest.
Yeah, just go to the playlists. It'll be
Playlist. Yes,
and
ma'am.
then my husband made where it all started is a playlist, and there's only a handful of video. Yep, there's a at the bottom off to your right,
How it all started. Okay.
and I think
Yeah,
that's
see, that's the first one.
but it should be in there.
Excuse me. So we got speech, lensing, capital steps. That's not it, you said, though.
Was it 4:30? Wait, go back.
Yes, ma'am.
Speech, Lansing Capital Steps, American. Yes, that's it. That's it right there.
Okay. Well, this one's 22 minutes long. Is there?
Yeah, we don't need to certainly listen to the whole thing, but
I don't mind, but I'm trying to respect your time. I mean, if you're vibing and you're liking this, you're welcome to stay longer than an hour. I'm at your disposal. So you just let me know what you need. And is there a particular place you want me to kind of start it at?
I don't remember. That was
Katherine Henry. All right, Katherine is a mediator.
You probably skipped the intro because who knows what they're saying about me. I have no idea.
And medical information. Most of you have come here today looking for a reason to have hope, looking for affirmation that you have the right to your basic freedoms.
A little bit of housekeeping for those on the other channel as well. If you have a question, and Miss Catherine, if you see like I asked them to do, mods, can you give them an example of what a question should look like? So all caps question with a colon, and then whatever the question is to make it as obvious for me to see it, because I'm trying to run the show and star it. So I already have one question starred for you, and I'm going to try to get your questions in ASAP. So the more questions, the sooner we're going to have to get to her answering some questions in order for that to have an opportunity. I have a question, by the way, for somebody in the channel. His name is FAQ the Madness, and he was just on my show earlier and did the same thing you're doing with let me go ahead and copy this, and I'll send him an email. If you don't mind, he might have a question that he might want to ask you directly, and I think you might find it very interesting. So if that's okay with you.
Well, the easiest one, somebody just posted, Brandon Mitchell, how long have you been an attorney? That'd be I guess I didn't really, you jumped right into some of the.
I have some questions myself, and then I'll go into these plebs and these peasants. They get their question at the end. So,
Okay.
So I have some questions for you, but if you want to answer that one, go for it.
I was first licensed as an attorney in the state of Minnesota. Just to give you context, I have since been licensed in the state of Michigan, then the Saginaw Chippewa Tribal Court, which is like its own country, then the Eastern District of Michigan Federal District Court, and then the Western District of Michigan Federal District Court, and then the United States Supreme Court. And I have been pro hoc vice admitted without even asking in the Middle District of Florida Federal District Court to help on a freedom fighters case as standby counsel. First time I've been admitted to practice in a jurisdiction without asking. But anyway, that's a story for another day. So what year was it?
You said it's about 20 years ago, right?
It's almost, I mean, I've been working in law firms for over 20 years,
Okay.
but me being my own, having my own law license, it's going on 20 years. I realize I should have that in the forefront of my mind, but I have so many other numbers. I have motions and pleadings and petitions and things on my desk, a 600-page appendix. I mean, I got a lot going on in my head right now besides things like that. As long as I remember the birth dates of my children, all five, I think I could do that off the top of my head. Then I'm successful. But anyway, it's going on 20 years. So.
Awesome. Congratulations on the 5 kids. My wife cut me off after 2.
Well, we have his, mine, ours, and then totally somebody else's.
Gotcha.
My best friend passed away, and we have her 15-year-old since last August when she passed away. So it's all kinds of crazy in our house, but and 3 of our kids are in their 20s now. So hey, we're not legally responsible for their choices. That's always
well, praise the Lord, hallelujah. Teach them in the way to go, and when they depart from you, they won't depart from the way to go. And that's great that you did that. I'm adopted myself. I went through 8 foster homes and 1 group home. So thank God for people like you that are willing to take on kids that aren't really theirs, but they are.
Yeah.
They eventually become. So let me get to my question real quick, which kind of you partially just answered. So hold on. So what did you want to be when you were growing up? So young Catherine,
Yeah.
and then you kind of sort of answered it, but maybe when did you settle on being a constitutional lawyer? What was the impetus of you wanting to be like, that's what I want to do? So like young Catherine, what was she? What were her visions of her future?
In kindergarten, I knew I wanted to be either a lawyer, an FBI agent, or a teacher.
Okay.
And I ended up by about fifth grade narrowing it down. I'm like, I don't think I could be a teacher because I would only be helping 30 students a year. So I knew that, FBI agent sounds pretty cool, but I knew I was going to be an attorney. Basically my entire life. So every class, every elective I ever took, certainly once I got into high school and college, they were all geared towards poli-sci and history and debate and things like that. So I could educate myself in the context of being an attorney. As far as being a constitutional attorney, I was licensed admitted to practice in the U.S. Supreme Court. I don't remember, some years ago. And I decided that, I was working on constitutional issues. Quite frankly, God called me to run for state representative in Michigan in 2015. And it was actually a very famous congressman that asked me to run for that spot because he was in my district. And he was like, yeah, the current state rep is term limited out, so it's an open seat. You should do it. I'm thinking, I didn't go to law school for a 2-year job. Like that's not what I should be doing right now. My husband and I laughed all the way home.
May I interrupt? So
Yeah.
that when you were running, that's when you were outside that election 100 feet. That's when you got unlawfully arrested. That's different. Okay. I digress. Go ahead.
No, yeah, the unlawful, unconstitutional, violent arrest you're talking about happened in 2020 when I was leading a petition to modify the Michigan State Constitution so that no more COVID BS could ever happen again. The lockdowns and all that kind of stuff. Judges that go, AWOL or, any kind of government official who violates the Constitution or constitutionally enacted laws, if they digress from those things, and there would actually be swift actions, swift penalties and punishments and things like that. So anyway, that petition is on my website available if anybody wants to check it out. Restore Freedom Initiative is what it was called, or you could Google Restore Freedom Initiative. I'm sure you'll still find it on the Michigan Secretary of State's website and other places as well. But anyway, when I ran for state rep in 2015 and 2016, like I said, that's not at all what I thought we were going to be doing in life, but God was very clear. He gave me, I very rarely could say that I felt like God was giving me a clear indication about what I should be doing, but that was definitely one of the things. And actually the video you started to play inside the Capitol on April 30th, 2020. So I didn't win the race for state rep. And I was one of the strong contenders, but not this speech, but the one you were starting to play that was like the impromptu thing. That one, that's when it hit me why I was called to run for state rep, because at the time, the state reps that were there, almost all of them that were there were people that had run when I ran. They first ran when I was running. I knew them by name. I had their phone numbers. I'd been talking to them. We knew each other personally. And so I had a rapport and I had a relationship with them. And I was able to talk with them a lot in the, few weeks leading up to that rally. And I was later told by some inside sources that worked at the Capitol that it was those kind of efforts of being there and showing up at the Capitol. It was making those phone calls. It was all the radio shows that people like me had gone on and talking about, putting the pressure on your state reps to make sure they're not going to vote to extend the governor's executive orders again to shut down the state and do all these things.
Amen.
So anyway, it was standing there inside the Capitol on April 30th, 2020 that it hit me. Oh my gosh, this is why you called me to run for state rep. It wasn't really about me being a state rep. It was so that I had the inside knowledge. I had these connections. I had the respect of quite a few people. I mean, I had met thousands, tens of thousands of people when I was out there running for state rep and door knocking and, being active in the community. So at any rate, I had already started working on constitutional issues specifically, and cases at the U.S. Supreme Court around the time that I had my state rep race ended. I had been connected with people in the freedom movement, from medical freedom to religious freedom, you name it, and all kinds of, groups and organizations and things that I'd never really heard of. And I'm like, oh, this is cool. Medical freedom. Oh, vaccine choice. Wait, what's that? Wait, how many vaccines are they requiring now? What? And like things I'd never even heard of, things I'd never even thought about, because when my older kids were young, they, there weren't that many vaccines. It wasn't that controversial. You know what I mean? It just wasn't as, now it's like 83 vaccines. That was before they added all the COVID shots and flu shots. So anyway, it's probably well over 100 now, but it was nowhere near that. Oh my gosh, sorry. My phone is.
I like that. It's kind of a pleasant tone.
Jeez. Okay. Well, hopefully it's one of my kids' teachers. So hopefully it's not some sort of emergency. So,
well, feel free to, family comes first. So if you got to check it.
Well, the child is actually here. So,
okay.
So child's harmed.
I just want to pause because I want to know about younger Katherine. And you said some interesting things.
I'm not that old now.
Well, I'm just saying, I'm talking young Katherine, like when you were like FBI and, all the teacher and all these things, right? So it's interesting because I'm thinking to myself, FBI, that's very specific. Now, again, any questions that I ask you that you just say no comment or whatever, and no one's going to be offended. But was it your mother, your father? What was the inspiration of these different things? It was just you. Okay, interesting.
I don't know. There was no, at the time, there were no attorneys in my family. I think there's one attorney in my family now, my mom's cousin, but we're not close. He lives in Atlanta. I think he's doing very, very well, but honestly, I have no clue what kind of law he does. I think it's business law. It's just nothing that has anything to do with, me. But he wasn't even in college, I don't think, by the time that I had decided at a very, very young age that I was going to be a lawyer. And I don't have any FBI agents or anything like that. In fact, that cousin's brother he was on a SWAT team in Michigan for many years, but I don't think he was even a part of that by the time I was thinking, FBI agent might be something. Teacher, that side of the family has some teachers, but I wasn't really close with them at that age. So I honestly don't know where it came from. Other than I just knew, I've always known in my whole life that I was here to help people.
Amen. Yeah. I'm telling you, some people are just built different. So I'm gonna just for brevity's sake, I'm going to kind of ask the question instead of having Craig up. I'm going to kind of ask. Hold on. I'm going to ask him I'm trying to click on my notes here. So the question is the question that he kind of has, or that I have, that he said, hey, that never really occurred to me that whether this could be something to pursue. So a little bit of background. His mother is suffering from dementia. She's in the SSA, the Social Security Administration kind of situation. So her son, Craig, who's FAQ the Madness, he's in the channel. He wanted to go to the SSA office to record things so that he wouldn't forget what his mother needed to remember, and so that there would be a permanent record created. And they were giving him all kinds of weird pushback. And so I guess his question is, and you dealt with Foshin from This Is a Public Service. I've had him on High Noon as well.
Oh, have you? Okay.
Oh yeah, absolutely. He's a wonderful.
That's the case I'm admitted in that I didn't ask to be admitted in.
Gotcha. So the interesting thing here is, and this is a common theme because I've been hearing a lot about this going on. So the SSA seems dead set on preventing recording. In the case of someone having dementia and requiring a loved one or an advocate to record for a permanent record to refer to, would this have a potentiality to be an ADA violation? Could this be argued in court that you're interfering with my ability to create a record for someone that has a disability of not being able to remember? And could that be argued as an ADA violation?
Yeah, I mean, that's probably a good that would probably be a good argument, but quite frankly, I'm always keen to take it back to, you know, take it back to the Constitution if you can, more than just a statute, right?
Mhm.
Although they have things backwards. So in the hierarchy of how government looks at things, it's, well, is there a case that says that? Is there a statute? And is there a constitutional provision? That's how they look at it, but it's backwards. You look at what the Constitution says, then any constitutionally enacted statutes. And quite frankly, you should rarely look to cases, only if it helps to determine something that isn't quite clear in statute, how a particular dispute would be resolved. But at any rate, I'm thinking, for example, now, he's probably not watching because he probably forgot that I was going on your show today, but I'm going to pick on my husband for a second. And I guess if he's watching, he'll comment, but, he is not the best person to remember things. And if it was something where he had to go to the
That's
Social
me.
Security
Yeah.
Administration or some other governmental agency, he should be doing something. Now, if something happened to me, like if I was killed or if I was in a serious accident, I was in the hospital and he's trying to work with the government on X, Y, and Z so that whatever, right? He's like super stressed, not just a normal point of life, but like something he can't even come close to having full brain capacity. It's not a disability per se.
Mhm.
It's just something because of the trauma he'd be going through. Then, that'd definitely be a moment where I would be like, if you need to talk to somebody, have an important conversation about something, whether you're going to the doctor's office for a doctor's appointment or whether you're going, to a government agency about some sort of requirement. You should be recording it so you can make sure you know exactly what it is. Any good attorney is going to tell you CYA, cover your ass.
Yeah.
You
Cover
know,
your
you,
ass, yeah.
you got to be able to have documentation of things. You got to be able to have, whatever it is. And so, and of course, even though the government's websites are supposedly there to help people, like there's so much crap on there and there's
Mhm.
so many laws and so many rules and regulations that it would be impossible to find what you're looking for if you're just out searching, government websites. So when you're meeting face to face with somebody, say for the Social Security Administration, and they're like, well, first you need to fill out this form and then you need to do this and then you need to bring it back with this, this, and this. I could definitely see how, unless you're a natural transcriptionist and you have shorthand like none other, like Foshin does, he's got some crazy shorthand, but if you're not somebody that's used to being able to jot stuff down super fast and accurate like that, then you'd be better off trying to record it. And why should they have the ability to turn you away from doing that and like, oh no, you can't record this? How am I going to know what I need to do later? I need to record this. I'm going to listen to this 17 times to make sure I get it right because I'm not going to pick all this up right now. So there's other inherent problems with it. Could there be an ADA issue? Yeah, that's kind of like another layer. Like if you have somebody that on top of just the way the normal human brain works, on
Mhm.
top of that, if you have somebody who's got dementia or some sort of a mental retardation or some other like something in the DSM-5, that is some sort of, anxiety or something that causes people to not take in information in some sort of like medically diagnosable sense. That's just an added layer on top of the way that the human brain is normally quite fallible without help. So, for them to say that, look at how many cheat sheets and charts and security cameras and things that they have.
Yeah.
You're allowed to have that, but I'm not allowed to have that. Wait, I work for you? I'm sorry. I thought this was a constitutional republic where you are either elected or appointed to work for me.
Yeah. So that was, that's really well said. So my argument would be like, let's take it back to the basics, the Constitution. How about just stick with that? Why complicate it, right? But I hear what you're saying, but I think as another attack vector of, because there's such a thing as justice, but then when you start throwing social in front of it, then you pervert the meaning of the word justice. Justice is justice or it's not justice. Social justice becomes something completely different.
Yep.
So that said, so I do have a rapid fire question that I personally want to give you at the end. If you're willing to stay for that, I hope we have enough time for it. It's kind of fun. It's just a real quick rapid fire. Wouldn't take more than 4 or 5 minutes tops. and you should get a good laugh out of it, hopefully. So do you mind if I get, so your response to that basically is the Constitution should already protect it. What would your advice be? I mean, you're not his lawyer, but what would your advice be to him to try to facilitate the ability to be able to record for posterity, so to speak, or for a permanent record?
And
if you did already kind of answer it and I just missed it because I got lizard brain, I apologize.
Yeah, I mean, in that particular context, trying to, jump gears, because Foshin's case is obviously different. He wasn't trying to and wasn't recording any specifics about anybody's particular scenario or case. He's just recording the general foyer and lobby and, how are they functioning and in general, that kind of thing. So for me to jump gears in my brain to a specific instance like that we were talking about, what would be the best course of action? I mean, it really, I would put the request in writing. I mean, it's as simple as this. You might go to, a lot of times there's multiple offices you can go to, remote driving distance to where you are. Try going to each of them and just try having a conversation, and maybe try the most podunk one possible, maybe, so that you're more likely to get in, with a person that's a real person and not one of 75 people at the office. Mm-hmm. And just say, listen, this is a scenario. I'm here with so-and-so, my mom, whoever it is in your life. And they're not able to take care of their affairs very well. They're on the decline mentally. And we need to have a record so that not only I would be able to help, but my siblings or whoever, we have several people that might be stepping in to help, and we don't have all that settled out yet. We need to be able to preserve, though, what it is that she's supposed to do. And we want to make sure we're following all of those rules. So I need to be able to, audio record this so that we can play it back, listen to it. She can listen to it. It would be empowering later when she's having one of her lucid moments, and she can be like, oh yeah, yep, that we said this, and we got to do that. And, it gives her a sense of empowerment that way. But anyway, just trying to have that conversation, quite honestly, it's a human element. And then if the human element doesn't work, then, perhaps still trying to work your way up the chain of the human element. So I understand what you're saying. Is it possible that I could speak with your supervisor about this? Because, I don't want to record anybody else's stuff. In fact, if you're worried about me overhearing somebody else's stuff or whatever, just, put us in a closet or an office to have the conversation.
Great privacy.
Or out in the parking lot, whatever it needs to be, so that you're sure that, whatever your other concerns are. But we just need to make sure we're following your rules in getting this paperwork done for her, and that she's not, we're not messing it up, because she's not going to be able to do this all on her own. And we have things outside of our control on our end. So anyway, so start having those conversations, and if need be, do, file a written complaint, an ADA complaint. As a governmental entity, they will have their own, mechanism for filing a specific ADA complaint. But then in your state, wherever that office is, you also have your state's, what is it called in Michigan? I'm totally losing my mind. Like the Office of Civil Rights, Department of Civil Rights, something like that. You'll have, because your state most likely has civil rights laws protecting people with disabilities as well. So you could go that route and get them involved and make a complaint.
Is it Office of Civil Service? HR Gateway, State Employment? No. Okay. Civil Rights.
It'd be something like civil rights or something of that. I mean, each state
complaint. Okay. Yep. Okay. We're on the here. Let me share this real quick. And we're going to get to the questions here pretty soon. So this would be probably where you'd want to go. Complaint investigation, office location, enforcement, civil rights law, civil rights commission. Are you able to see all this?
So even if you
ADA compliance, there you go, right there.
Yeah, I would even go to the top and just click on that Department of Civil Rights, and then go from there. Again, that's for Michigan specifically, but it gives you kind of an example of what one might look like. And then how do I? So there should be in that drop down, there should be something that's we're getting way too, file a complaint. Is that the first one?
Yeah, file a complaint now. Yep. Register a service animal. Oh, cool.
So that would be, and I do know, I want to say it's the DOJ has their version for there's a few different things. If you just do some good Google searches for how to file complaint, actually, let's do one better. If you guys go to my website, restorefreedomkh.com, don't forget the KH. It's very important. Somebody contacted me. Well, I tried to reach out to you and I tried this and it didn't work because I left the KH out. Restorefreedomkh.com. Go to that website. Go to the search bar and type in complaint or let's see, file a complaint or something like that. You'll start to get, the word complaint will give you like literally some examples of actual court complaints and things that I have filed, I'm sure. But at any rate, if you type in complaint though, you'll start to see, I did some freedom fighting tools every Friday, except for when I'm like eyeball deep in filing my own court paperwork, like I have been for the last week and a half. But anyway, I file freedom fighting tools on Fridays, and those are, we did some maybe 6 months ago, 6 months to a year ago, I shared what it looks like to file a, if you go in the search bar up at the top right and type in,
top right search bar here, Roger.
Yep. And then you type in complaint. Let's see if that would work.
And enter.
Yep.
Okay. I was going to type in who's the most handsome interviewer that's ever interviewed Katherine Henry, but I already knew the answer.
Civil rights complaints freedom fighting tool. Looks like February 2nd.
She just blew that right off. It's impervious.
Sorry,
okay.
I was trying to read the very tiny print. So there's some stuff there, but the civil rights complaints freedom fighting tool. So that's the US DOJ civil rights division. That's one of them. That was actually just a couple months ago. I swear I shared some more at some point.
So wait, these are kind of like templates?
No. So
In
what
a
you have
sense.
on my website is any documents or posts that I've shared, like posts that I've shared on my website and social media, or documents. So you could see complaints that I've made against the city itself, city of Ormond Beach, for different reasons. And I put those on my website and did a post about it.
Valentine's Day criminal complaint. What are you heart killer?
No. That was the Constitutional Law Group, where they were trying to get people to do that 2 years ago. And I did a show explaining how those were not going to really go anywhere. They were well-intentioned, but anyway, it was a little over 2 years ago. So I talked about that. And anyway, but that civil rights complaints, that would be one of them. In fact, then if you click the freedom fighting tools, it's the hyperlink that's at the bottom left there of that screen.
1 second. I was trying to save your bottom left.
No, you scroll just right where it is. Don't scroll. Bottom left.
Okay. Bottom left. Right. I got some wires in the way. Oh, you're talking freedom fighting tools right there. Okay.
Yep.
You all see that? How it highlights, goes to green, my favorite color.
Teal. It's actually teal. Sorry.
Okay.
That's my favorite color too.
I have 2 wives now. My wife loves to correct me. It's like a full-time job.
Only because it was my favorite color, teal. So
gotcha. Oh, I see it in here.
Green, but my favorite color is teal. So anyway, so you could see all kinds of freedom fighting tools. If you scroll down, it just shows you like all of the freedom fighting tools that we've posted in the last few years.
Appeals handbook. Yeah.
Quite a few different things on there. I always try to give you something, and like I said, I pretty much do those once every week. But when we've had a lot of crazy stuff going on, sometimes I haven't gotten to it. But anyway, so there's that civil rights complaints that we've talked about. And I'm sure I have other ones that are even earlier on if somebody wanted to just keep scrolling. There's some other ones that talk about a few different ways that you could file different complaints with the different governmental entities. Because I think there were at least 2 at the U.S. government level. And then there were some, I think, for Florida that I had put in there, and maybe some for Michigan. So
yeah, it's funny because I want to get to the questions here soon. Again, to respect your time, we're about 20 minutes from your hard time to potentially have to leave. But man, what a just a plethora of information. And this is all free.
Yes. So everything I have, the website, it has tons of documents, like actual court filings. There's petitions, there's motions, there's briefs, there's different appendices, exhibits. So you guys can, first of all, just see what real court documents look like and how they're supposed to be drafted.
So that's what I meant by technically having the ability to have something similar to a template, something of a guide to go by.
Yeah, so
I mean,
don't
it
have
would
anything
require
for
some work on our part, though, to change what was pertinent. But go ahead.
Yeah, I don't have anything specifically for a civil rights complaint.
Gotcha.
That when you asked that question, we were kind of in that context. So I don't have anything
got it.
about
Okay.
that. But I do have just, court documents in general that are real court documents from cases that I've been working on. I have many more that I plan to put on there, but I think at this point we have some of the documents that I drafted in regards to, that's signing up for the newsletter. That's also a good thing that people should do. It's usually a weekly newsletter. Didn't get it out Sunday because I was working on another motion for the Ormond Beach case, and still working on it yesterday until late in the evening. So this week's newsletter didn't go out, but that is, a free resource as well. And typically what you see in that newsletter is all the stuff that I've posted. So you typically will get a Wednesday way to get involved challenge. You will get and that page right there will tell you some of the resources we have as well. But you will get the freedom fighting tool. We do a Tuesday true or false question. Didn't do that today because still trying to get my mind around the last of the urgent motions I need to file in the Ormond Beach case. But usually every Tuesday I post a true or false question, and then on the YouTube channel, and then post the answer at 10 p.m. That Wednesday way to get involved challenge, the Friday freedom fighting tool. Saturday we usually post an item like a restore freedom pop socket. Wonderful thing. It says more freedom, less government.
Yeah, I saw something about that. Yeah.
And it's just at cost. I forget what it is. I want to say it's like $7 for the thing, but then to mail it, it's like another $4 or $5 or something like that. So whatever it costs us out of pocket is all I'm asking for. It doesn't make us money, but just to spread the word. We got window decals and car magnets as well. So if you love freedom, then please check those out. But anyway, so those are things. And then of course you'll see in the newsletter, in that weekly newsletter, you'll see the description of any videos that we've done. So I bet I will have to change the description of this video before I go and share it out, because I just typed something in real quick. In fact, YouTube's, I don't think even got a description. I just put in a title and quick try to get it connected. So,
Okay.
Anyway, so that's what you get on a weekly newsletter. And then if I have some urgent stuff that came out, or a speech that I'm going to be giving at a certain location, I try to let people know, like, hey, this week I'm going to be, last summer I was doing some speeches in Michigan at some freedom fighting events, and I've done a few here down in Florida. Most people don't know me down here yet, but anyway, so that's what that's about.
It looks like you got a fan, Epic Proportions Media Production. He crawled out from underneath the bridge to try to troll you a little bit there. I think he's on your side of on the aisle, so my mods can't really do much about him that I'm aware of. But I mean, he's saying some things, but I don't know. We'll give him a little bit of attention so he doesn't starve to death. I'm okay with free speech as long as it's not abusive or threatening. So if you'd like my mods to deal with it, I'll deal with it. I'll have them banned. I don't have a problem with that. I haven't seen anything particularly egregious being said. So, but then again, I'm trying to pay attention to this and questions. So I'm not sure if you're familiar with the person.
I don't think so. But I am not seeing what the initial.
Yeah, it was just somebody was kind of saying, come on, Epic, be nice or be respectful or something. Or she's been places you've never even understood to be and stuff like that, and people are sticking up for you. So I'm going to do a little bit of housekeeping. I am free, Inland Auditing Media. That's Steve, otherwise known as Gandalf. And unfortunately or fortunately, I have to do this every time I say the word Gandalf.
You shall not pass!
So that's Steve. He's on the West Coast, right? I highly recommend you check him out. He's a very intelligent dude. He does a lot of journalistic aspects. He gets tips and leads, and he's fighting the good fight. He's definitely someone. He's an up and coming and up and mover. So that said, I'm going to go to starred comments. I'm going to start from Rats And listen, housekeeping guys, if I missed any of your questions, I absolutely apologize, and I might miss some now while it's while it's scrolling because I'm in the start section. It's not intentional. I'm not purposely ignoring you. I'm trying to respect my host and star your questions at the same time. That said, I'm going to go with this question here. I'm going to put it up if you would like to read it yourself out loud.
Oh, what is the biggest mistake auditors make? Oh, well, I don't know, because each person does it differently. And I'm going to be honest, I'm too busy reading the cases coming out, looking at statutes, trying to modify, like work on cases on the behind the scenes stuff that I don't generally watch a lot of videos. I mean, even stuff that I like. I mean, we don't have TV, so we go to a movie once a year kind of thing. So I don't see a lot of the videos, but what I could tell you is the same with any kind of freedom fighting. The best you could do to be cool, calm, and collected. So, don't try to come across as arrogant. Don't try to come across, and these are not things that are like you have to do this kind of thing. This is my opinion, because you got to remember, it's not just about what you have the right to do. You are also dealing with humans. You want to be treated like a human. You got to remember you are dealing with other humans. Now, maybe they're downright evil, but you can't start with that assumption. You got to start with the assumption that they need to be educated, and they need to, they just need to be enlightened about what the situation is, what rights are, what the constitutional requirements are, something of that nature. And think about it this way. If you were in school, or if you were supposed to learn something, and somebody just came to your place of business or came into your school or whatever, and they're like barking at you that you're just stupid and you just don't know your job and you don't know what you're doing, and you can't get anything right, and don't you know this is the obvious stuff? If you're being nasty, if they're being nasty about it to you in that context, your brain's going to shut down. You're not going to learn anything. You're certainly not going to be willing to take in any information that they're giving to you. So what I strongly suggest is that we all work together to educate not only each other, right? Other citizens who just want the freedom to live the way that God has intended us to, and the way that our Constitution is working to protect for us.
Do you mean we need to bring this back?
Hey, do you know about the USA? Do you know about the government? Can you tell me about the Constitution? Hey, learn about the USA.
I remember that video.
Yeah. So, and it goes on, and I think civics training is something that we woefully need. So something that you said earlier, kind of.
Well, hold on. I just want to round off that thought that it's important that we educate each other, but it's really important that we have that mindset that if there's somebody in government, virtually all of them, that don't know something about the way the law works, they don't know something about the law, they don't know something about the Constitution. Our job is to help inform them and educate them. And the only way they're going to learn or grow is if we're doing it in the most respectful way possible, even if they're total nincompoops, even if they are just horrible people that are mean and cranky and seemingly stupid and lazy. What you need to do is still work your best to be informative, have the facts straight, lay them out as straight and easy to understand as you can, in the most respectful and assertive but non-arrogant way possible. I mean, that is exceedingly important. So that's probably, again, it's probably not common to all auditors, but I would think there's probably some out there that are kind of too much in your face about like, well, I have the right to do this. I have the right to do that. I'm just going to, okay, but how is that helping educate them on what people's rights really are? How is that getting them more open to more people doing the auditing if you're just in your face, in people's faces about it?
And to kind of flesh out what you're saying too, what occurred to me is what you're saying is like, be polite. Also try to handle things at the lowest level possible. Now don't tell the clerk your whole life story. Deal with her, with how she can help you.
Yes.
And go up to the next. It's like in the military. Try to handle it at the lowest level possible and get it solved. You know, don't be a Karen. I want to see the manager every 5 seconds. That said, so that question was answered, and we're gonna have to be kind of quick. So we kind of already answered Brandon Mitchell's question, which was, how long have you been an attorney? You've been practicing law or interested in law for about 20 years. However, an actual attorney, if you want to answer that question.
Well, that's what I've been a licensed attorney for almost 20 years, and I've been working in law firms for 23 years.
Okay.
24 years.
All right, so we got that one. Wanda Mice, that's a pretty popular name, and he's one of those guys that does like to cuss people out. So his question is, what? Go ahead.
Why does it appear the lower court's authority regard what?
In regards to contract under the I don't understand this. Okay.
I'm not sure what the question is.
Yeah. Why does it appear the lower court's authority in regards to contract under the delegation?
That's gonna have to be reworded for me to really understand.
Yeah, I didn't read it. I just started as soon as I saw a question. So we'll move on. Sorry, Wanda. Maybe you asked a better one here. Do you know why our names are in all caps on court documents?
It doesn't matter. They're not always in all caps. Sometimes they are, sometimes they're not. But that, I mean, sorry if this is going to offend people with my language, but it's stupid nonsense bullshit when people say, oh, well, putting it all caps, that means you're a corporate entity or you're this or that. Like, nonsense. It's a freaking name. If I want to write my name in all caps, if somebody else wants to write my name in all caps, good. I don't care. Just don't write it in all lowercase letters, because you should have at least some respect for me to throw the one capital letter in there. But
so you're saying like the sovereign citizen kind of angle?
Bullshit.
Black's law, that kind of, okay.
Well, so no, Black's law is a dictionary, and that has nothing to, I mean, like, it's on my bookshelf, right?
Oh, I don't have a problem with Black's law. It's just some people like to salad bar things. You know, they don't take the whole salad bar. They just want to pick and choose.
Yeah.
So Rats to the Moon's question is, and I believe it's Michigan, right?
Do I now live in Florida? Yes, I live in Florida now.
All right, awesome. Well, that's why you're probably able to help Foshin, because I know he's down there.
Yes.
Liberty Troll is another person that I've had on High Noon, and he and Foshin just did an audit together.
As long as he's staying out of trouble, because we got his trial coming up. So
yeah, Foshin's nothing but a consummate gentleman. He's the prime example of what you're talking about. He de-escalates.
Oh, did he fool you? Maybe.
Well, no, I mean, when he's out there, he is. You know,
okay.
All the videos. I mean, like I said, I've had him on High Noon, and you know, I've seen him. Now, listen, you should watch my tribute to him, because it's a little saucy. You'll probably like it. So here we got one from Howard County Observer. Question: do you believe the United States of America is literally America, or that USA is a country located in America? That's interesting.
I don't know if I'm grasping what the question is. Like, there's North America, there's Central America, there's South America. Yeah. I mean, there's Canada and Mexico are part of North America, so I'm not sure what the question is there.
That's kind of something that he poses. Like, basically, people, it's like a presumption of superiority, basically, because you're an American, then you're America. When it's South America, North America, to include Canada. So that's kind of, I guess it's more of a statement than a question.
Okay.
So, I mean, yeah, I think you answered it perfectly.
Did I get an A+ then?
You absolutely did. You get a gold star. So, question, in your opinion, what do you have as a higher priority, ending qualified immunity or overturning Terry v. Ohio?
I generally try not to memorize what cases stand for by their title. So whatever the premise of Terry v. I mean, I'm sure I've heard of it. It's probably Terry stops or something stupid.
Yeah, I don't like even Terry frisks and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, which I don't remember the full extent of what that's about. So I don't know, but I can tell you that immunity, government employees, government officials should not have immunity. If they violate the law or if they violate the Constitution, they should be held accountable. That's, in fact, you guys should really check out the stuff that I posted about the Restore Freedom Initiative, that constitutional amendment petition that we were gathering hundreds of thousands of signatures all across the state of Michigan for, because it was specifically look at the parts that talk about if you're a government official and you are found to have, now you still have due process, you have a right to an actual trial and all that other fun stuff. But if you are found guilty of violating the Constitution or a constitutionally enacted law, there are penalties, criminal and financial penalties. At least there would have been had my amendment been totally enacted there. But that's, I mean, there should be no immunity just because you work for the government. Yeah, I could go on all day about that.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm here for it. Let's see. So Rats. I'm sorry if I'm missing questions, guys. I'm trying to respect their time. I got like 5 minutes left, unless she wants to extend it a little bit. I'm not sure what you're talking about. Ignore that, Todd. Rewriting that. So I'm waiting for you to rewrite it, and that's Steve, by the way. I'm not going to say his other word because then I'll have to take up time doing that. You shall not pass thing.
So if somebody wants to help, I'm all for that. In fact, one thing I should probably say is literally everything I do, all the work that I do is free. I mean, we pay out of our own pocket so that I have the streaming software, so that I have the newsletter software, so I could keep the domain and the hosting for the website and all the resources. And, when I have to print 47,000 sheets of paper and have toner and a printer and like all that stuff so that I can work on these things and then make them available to you guys to be able to use as well. And all the stuff, all the books and research, everything, it's all out of my own pocket. And since 2020, I haven't taken paid cases. I haven't been working in a sense to fill my own pockets. In fact, it's been emptying my pockets with the work that I've been doing. So if you want to come alongside and help in some way, first of all, obviously donations help. And you can do that at restorefreedomkh.com/donate. There's a whole bunch of different ways that you can donate. But if you go, if you want to volunteer in some way, if you're, especially if you're in Florida and of freedom fighting groups, whether it's people at churches or, in your neighborhood or at your workplace or just in your Liberty Caucus or whatever it is, some sort of political group, if you have people that, maybe your official, executive committee for the Republican Party or something, whatever, if you have people that want me to speak to them about the Constitution and you guys are willing to pay for me to get there, so I'm not out of pocket on whatever that's going to take, especially if it's farther away, then by all means, I'll do that. I mean, like I said, I just don't have the money to like pay for a plane ticket or do whatever, depending on how far things are, that would be needed. But if you're around here and you can connect me with people that want to hear more about the Constitution, that want to hear more about, laws, that's what I'm here to do. So that would be awesome. Otherwise, if it depends on you have some sort of specialized gift that you want to help in some way behind the scenes with things, I mean, by all means, let me know. That would be awesome. But anyway, reaching out to us through our website is a good way to do that.
And I was going to ask you about that as far as like crowdsourcing research or work and what confidentiality NDAs or anything like that might, I mean, you'd have to have some kind of a law degree. Well, you wouldn't necessarily to help someone try to find case law or something like that, right? But you probably have to have an NDA, because if you're getting read in on, or if you're being very specific, hey, I'm looking for something in this avenue, whatever you can search and find, and then you could crowdsource people to being willing to help, and they could send you stuff.
It depends, because we've tried that. There's been, at some point we had thousands of volunteers when this all started in 2020. But, people more often than not will say that they're going to do something and then they back down and they don't do it. So I'm pretty much a one-woman show for the most part. There's a few things here or there that I get help, at times, but like when it comes to coding and doing all the figuring out the HTML and the JavaScript and the this and the that and the whatever on my WordPress website, I mean, I've had to teach myself things and like I still don't understand it, but I
YouTube University, University, man.
I'm not a big video person, but I'll search the heck out of it and research and figure out, okay, I wonder if this code will work. And then, and then I put it in here and do this. Anyway, I'm the one that does all that. I'm the one that puts documents on the website. I'm the one that does the posts. I'm the one that, does the videos and all that stuff. So, if somebody wants to help, I mean, you'd have to be, just don't waste my time if you're not really able to commit to whatever you're volunteering to do, because it takes me time to be able to get
you up to
integrated
speed.
with people. And then for them to just be like, oh, well, actually, I got really busy with XYZ. Okay, thanks. And I just wasted a bunch of time for nothing.
Gotcha. So here's Steve has a question. Catherine, do you see, looks like Senate Bill 184, 25, I don't know what that even means.
I don't
The
know
25
either
foot.
one of those things. I'm just going to, let's just take a different question, because with what time it is, I have no idea about any of those. So
Yeah, it's like the 25-foot rule. Like you can't be closer to the 25 feet to the cops. Now I know what he's talking about. Do you think it'll hold up? So I'm just going to go to, let me see, let me make sure.
I would
Danny
have to get way more background on it to be able to answer anything about it. But
So Danny has a question. How can we get some of the non-constitutional laws overturned? That's just, I don't know.
That's where, I don't know. There's not a Staples easy button. If there was, I would have pressed it a long time ago. But one of the things that I was doing in the state of Michigan was putting that constitutional amendment in place, because, for example, if you are in the legislature and you are enacting laws that are violating the Constitution, that would be violating the Constitution, and that would make you guilty of that offense that I was putting the language right into the Constitution. With actionable steps that people could take, and where you're not getting thrown out for standing. And so if you have a prosecutor's office, the executive branch that's enforcing unconstitutional laws, or you have whatever the case may be, those are the kinds of things that people could then be personally held responsible for. Again, part of the ending the immunity part. So if you have people that are no longer able to hide behind the concept of, well, I have immunity because I work in the government, and they know that they're going to be held personally responsible if they're, violating people's rights.
Right.
If they're violating the Constitution, then you have people that are going to be paying attention more to the Constitution. So that would be the biggest thing. So I would suggest
putting teeth back into it.
Yeah. So I would suggest, quite frankly, unfortunately, at this point, I think it needs to be a state by state thing, and putting some constitutional amendments into state constitutions that have that teeth to it. And I don't remember which part of the constitutional amendment it was that I wrote, because I was changing quite a few things. I was simplifying the court systems. I was abolishing looking at cases and administrative rules and internal operating procedures, like all that stuff was going to be gone in the state of Michigan had my amendment been enacted. I mean, I was cleaning house on the government.
Should have called it Drano.
Yeah. Well,
seriously.
So if people really want, I mean, if you're really, really not just about running your mouth, but you want to make real change, then pull out that part where it talks about the, the wording that I had in there for accountability for government officials, and start with that, and do a constitutional amendment in every single state, whatever state you live in, whatever state you have connections with. Do a constitutional amendment, and it's different in each state. Like, people can straight up do it in the state of Michigan. You don't have to have the legislature involved, for example. But in other states like Florida, I think, I don't remember, it's been a while since I looked at it, but I think in Florida, you have to have the legislature pass a resolution to get it onto the ballot for people to vote. I don't think you can circulate petitions per se to get a constitutional amendment on there. I could be wrong about that. I've done videos on that. I just don't remember. But anyway, at any rate, it's different in each state about what the procedures are to get a constitutional amendment to the point of being voted on by the people of the state. But it can be done. So figure out how to get it done. And if you have it just as simple as that, as its accountability, think of this. What better way to unite people of every single political party? Because I could tell you, in 2020, I was downtown in Detroit at Hart Plaza in downtown Detroit in 2020, in the midst of the shutdowns, in the midst of all the COVID chaos, in the midst of everything. And I was able to talk to many hardcore liberals that signed my petition willingly. Once I told them, Republican, Democrat, doesn't matter. You violate someone's rights, you are held accountable. And they're like, wait, what? Oh, because, yeah, we see it all the time with this or that or police or whatever it is. And people don't realize they get so stuck in their mindset of like Democrat versus Republican that they lose sight of the bigger thing, that it's really the
Tribalism. Yeah.
It's really the government versus we the people is what it is. And we need to bond with
Well,
that.
the irony, Miss Catherine, is we are the government. And we've abdicated holding these SOBs accountable. So I'm going to say that real quick. So if we can get CGD's question answered as quickly as possible, and then I'll get on to my rapid fire and respect your time. Thank you. We're about 5 minutes over right now.
I don't think I've heard of James Sexton as a divorce attorney. I don't know what state, but maybe, because I used to do a lot of divorce law, but not off the top of my head.
All right. So we're going to do our rapid fire. These are kind of silly. So rapid fire questions. You already answered it. I think it's my favorite color.
Teal.
So you probably kind of like my color of my little thing here.
Ocean actually is my favorite color, but
well, that's kind of like sea foam green, I think. Miracle Whip or mayo?
no.
You got to pick one. What?
No.
None?
No.
Miracle Whip or mayo? It's a choice. It's A or B. Come on now.
No, because most mayo has soybean oil in it, and
okay. Well, let's pretend that it's farm fresh raised eggs. You made your own with olive oil.
Okay, then mayo.
Miracle Whip or mayo?
Mayo.
Same. Okay. So you don't like the tangy zip of Miracle Whip. So I'm just saying.
I grew up on Miracle Whip, but it's chemicals.
Okay, but still, I'm just saying. I'm not a basic bitch, so I don't like mayo. I'm a Miracle Whip guy. I'm just gonna. It's a big thing in my channel. Cats or dogs? You got to pick one.
Labs specifically, or golden
Labs.
retrievers.
All right, dogs. All right, we can definitely be friends. Who's the best interviewer to date that has interviewed you?
I don't even. I've been interviewed a lot. I can't think of all the. I don't know. Well, we can go with you. We'll just.
Oh, thank you. You're so charitable. All right, I'm going to put you on the big screen for this last one.
Oh boy.
No pressure.
So I shouldn't be picking my nose during that time, is what you're saying.
Absolutely not. Okay, so, and you don't have to do this. You can tell me to pound sand, but bonus. Would you say something with the words generally specific in it for me to use in a future video? Like, please like, share, and subscribe, or the best interviewer, most handsome and humble guy you've ever met. I don't know, something like that. You don't have to do it now. Maybe you can do it in a video and then just kind of link it to me in the future, but no pressure. Come on, attorney at law.
Ask me about laws. I can do that. I can talk about the Constitution, but to think of something witty like that, no, don't put me on the big screen.
So generally specific, what is your favorite kind of constitutional law to practice?
That's not how that's
Come on. All right.
I would have to be genuine in how I said something. No, I would sound like a dumbass because it wouldn't be genuine. So
it's all right. I appreciate you coming.
I don't know that I would put those two words together naturally. I would have to try very hard to think of something genuine.
Well, see, here's the interesting thing. Generalizing tends to tick off hardcore feminists because like, you can't generalize. Well, I don't have time to audit the entire world to give you I can't audit every woman.
Christians.
Well, there you go. So in order to be specific and expedite my argument, I have to generalize because some things are true in the general sense. The outlier should not, the exemption should not be the rule or So I would like to give you this opportunity to plug anything that you want to plug. Is there anything coming up? You sound like you got your plate really full with some stuff and you don't have to get into it, or you can get into it. It's up to you, but here's your opportunity.
I just saw one question and I'm not sure where this person's going, but he said that she's pretty good at not answering questions. Got to give her that.
Is that the Epic Production?
No,
media?
That's Howard County Observer.
He's
answered almost all of the questions.
So okay, let me give you a little background. Howard County Observer has got an absolute massive raging hard-on, pardon my French, for America and how America is, being only North America, only Americans, USA are considered Americans. And so that's his big cause du jour. And the fact that you don't really care one way or another, I'm okay with. It's not going to stop me from paying my bills if I don't call it this or that, or if I don't feel a certain way about it. That said, people have their own little pet things and stuff. I think you did a fine job. You don't have to answer everything. First off, you have the right to remain silent.
I just thought I don't know what else I didn't answer.
You did absolutely fine. You did 100%.
There was
He
one
does it in my
neither
channel
of
too.
us knew what the question was, so we had
It was
to guess.
the USA is only the USA
No, I did
a
answer
country
that.
within America, meaning North and South America. I thought you answered it
I
fine.
did answer that. You said I got an A+, so
I said you got an A+. He was
Yeah.
not satisfied. So,
oh, well then. Well,
but
fuck you.
well, in the immortal words of the great poet philosopher Wesley Snipes in the movie Blade,
some motherfuckers are always trying to ice skate uphill.
okay. So that said, sorry, I'm going to do my outro, and if you want to stand by and we can chat real quick after this, and I'll let you go. And I thank everyone for coming. And do you have anything that you wanted to say at the end other than don't feed the trolls?
I just, well, I don't know.
I'm
just
not even
gonna-
sure that he's a troll, but you know.
So apparently it was a compliment that I didn't answer questions. I don't know. There was one thing. Let me tell you this, guy. Let me say this.
Oh
There
yes, in the auditing community, I don't answer questions is actually a brilliant thing when you're talking to cops.
Yeah,
I don't
but-
answer questions.
Whatever. I'm me. So I'm me, and I stand for truth, and I'm open and honest. And there's not a whole heck of a lot that I have to hide. I mean, there's certain things that I only speak of with my husband or whatever, with my mom or something like that. But like in life, like there's not a whole lot that I have to hide. But what I will do is, unlike most attorneys, if I don't know something, I will tell you. So
Amen.
there were, when there was a question about a case and then a Senate bill out there. First of all, it was a crappy question because it didn't say if it was a U.S. House bill or a state House bill or Senate bill or whatever. So I have no idea what the context was there because I don't keep up on thousands of bills that are introduced all across the country every single year. And then there was talk about a case. Again, case law is not a thing. Case precedent should not be our first go-to in any context.
see what
It should
you're
be
saying.
looking at what the Constitution says. So I don't really take kindly to people worried about, well, with, if this new law passed, would it survive with what this case said? I couldn't care less about what most cases say. What I care about is what the Constitution says, because judges and justices are not put in place to create laws. They're there to settle disputes.
Mm-hmm.
So when it comes to things to answer, first of all, that's one reason why I couldn't care less about some questions that ask about certain cases. But also, if I don't know something, if I haven't read a certain bill, if I don't know about a certain statute, I haven't looked it up before, sure, I'm smart enough I could figure that out. But since we're in the throes of it and I don't have time to sit there and look it up while I'm trying to figure out how to answer the question, I'm just going to tell you it's something I don't have off the top of my head. So I don't know why that's kind of getting under my skin, because most attorneys are really good at avoiding questions. They don't answer questions, or they answer questions with the, well, and then they like dance around issues. Certainly politicians and government officials do that. I'm going to give you the answer. I'm going to give you the truth. But sometimes if I don't know the answer, I'm just going to tell you, hey, I don't know the answer, because I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, by the way, the person that did ask that question is a very big fan of yours. Matter of fact, he joined as a member because you were on my channel. So I think he just thought maybe shot in the dark. Maybe if you knew something that you could opine about it. I'm going to go ahead and end the show right now.
Well, wait a minute. You can't leave it on a negative note. That's not,
that's not negative.
It is. Because I was like all pissed off. I want people to understand that, like, I answer questions. So that's something that's getting under my skin, because
if you don't have the answer,
I don't
to it,
have an answer, then I'm not going to make
that's your
something
answer.
up.
That's your answer. Yeah, that's fine with me. First off, I don't owe people an answer.
That too.
There's that. So I'm gonna go ahead and do the outro here. If you just stand by, Miss Catherine, I appreciate it.
Sure.
By the way, I just a little
out.
bit of advice to you. If you were just a little bit more passionate, you might make some differences in this. I love it, by the way.
The only thing that enrages me is when you hear people say, you must believe me. I have no obligation to believe anybody. You have an obligation, if you want me to believe you, to prove what you're saying. I have a right to ask simple, fair questions. How do you know that? How can I trust that? And if you don't give me those answers, then I just don't believe you. And I don't have to believe you. And if your recourse is, you're a bad person for not believing me, fuck you.